Welcome to the Stalwart Learning webinar on cybersecurity. Please give me 1 minute to introduce you to who we are and what we do. We are called Stalwart Learning. We are basically a corporate training provider for various organizations across India and abroad, and deliver training programs in both technology as well as soft skills areas. In technology, our expertise includes things like artificial intelligence, machine learning, robotic process automation, data sciences, DevOps, cloud computing, big data, Java J2E technologies, .NET, Agile, you name it. And we are definitely there in terms of technology training programs. In terms of soft skills, we deliver programs in business skills, communication skills, conflict management, problem solving skills, personal improvement, middle management, as well as leadership skills. We are definitely delivering a ton of training programs to various corporate organizations in these areas all over India and abroad. The modes of learning that we have are classroom training programs where the instructor is present with you in classroom delivering the program. We have virtual online instructor-led programs where we deliver programs through video connect. We also have a hybrid mode of delivering training programs where the instructor may be with some of the participants in a classroom, whereas some of the other participants may join virtually, right? Additionally, we also have over 2,000 training programs in technology and soft skills on the e-learning front, right? Which can be consumed on a subscription basis. Some of the training programs are delivered to organizations like Schneider Electric, Wells Fargo, TravelX, GE Healthcare, SLK Software, Samsung, DRDO, and numerous other organizations. I would now pass on to Pranab, who is the speaker for today's session. Pranab, you can go ahead and share your screen and take us forward with the session.
Thank you, Abhay. Thank you very much. Let me just quickly share my screen. Screen is visible.
Yes.
Okay. Okay.
Yes.
Okay. So, hello, good morning, everyone. My name is Pranav, and I would be there with you next couple of hours to take you through different aspect of cybersecurity. I generally do a lot of bug hunting. Yes, I am a speaker, as Abha has mentioned. We do take a lot of training for different organizations in various aspects of information security and other domain. So, I few of the certifications I hold from Offensive Securities, from OSCP, OSC, OSWP. Yes, I've done my CCNAs and then CISAs, SANS Forensics. I'm a cloud solution architect as well. Apart from that, I have found a lot of bugs in different enterprise applications, like here, Facebook, Uber, Microsoft. I'm one among top 100 security researcher recognized by Microsoft. Apart from that, I do a lot of advisories to different cybercrime agencies. Today, I'll take you through some of the instances which you have found. Like if you can see that, this is one of the findings long back I have found in Uber, which is popular taxi aggregator. One of the thing was like we could able to take unlimited free rides, without paying anything. There was a design issues in the applications. I'll explain in much details how those vulnerability occurred. And then you can see this is our popular e-commerce platform, Flipkart, where we had found some vulnerabilities, followed by billion loans. This is also one of the applications where I have reported them the bugs, where their homepage was, somebody could deface their websites. This is your nap tool. This is the remote code execution in Microsoft Portal in their MSN websites. And there was a design issues, with your Facebook, where anybody can see anybody's friend list irrespective of your privacy settings, right? So there are so many websites such as Facebook, Google, Yahoo, and then there are different websites you visit every day. So the main objectives of showing all this was to give you an idea that how vulnerable things could be, right? And moreover, cybersecurity is enhancing every day. So we need to be more careful when you develop any applications, when you use any Wi-Fi network, when you access our email, or even when we join some call through video conferencing. As you could see, there are a lot of issues coming up nowadays, as people are opting to have the conference call over Zoom. Zoom was targeted a couple of times in last couple of weeks by the cyber criminals, right? So I'll not take you through much of the slides. So I'll try to show you some of the some of my let's do some practicals with some real incidents. Let me just share my other screen with you. Let me just share my screen. Abhay, you are able to hear me, right? Because I could see that few of the text that some of them are not able to hear. I hope I'm
Yes,
audible.
Pranav, I'm able to hear. For the participants who are unable to hear, at the bottom left corner, you will see a join audio option. You need
I will not have much slides for you. I'm just trying to take few of the incident and then trying to correlate with few of the cybersecurity things. Now, the first things I would talk about the passwords. Like when you talk about the security or cyber securities, the first things people think is password. You just talk to anybody, including myself, that let's say if we say that how secure is your phone, you say that I have a password, I have a fingerprints, I have face lock. You talk about your system, you talk about any device, Wi-Fi. So the first things when you talk about uh, securities, the first thing comes to people's mind is password, right? Now, it is very important to understand how strong is our password, and then how somebody can bypass it, right? So I'm just going with some of the statistics, and then I'll correlate what kind of attacks may happen with your passwords. Let's say, let us take an example of ATMs, okay, right? So as so the world populations, which is approx, I believe, around 7 billion, right? Correct me if I'm wrong. 7 billion, and then let's assume that out of 7 billion people, at least 2 billion people use ATM, right? If not 2 billion, at least 1 million, 1 billion definitely use ATM. And as you know, each of us has more than one or two ATM cards. So even if you assume that 2 billion people has access to ATM out of 7 billion people, and each of them has your two ATM cards, it means 4 billion cards do exist in the world. And most of the ATM PIN number is of 4 digits. So if you really look at it, so the maximum combinations of password you can have is 00002999 because of 4 digits. So you cannot have 10,000, more than 10,000 PIN number. So now just imagine 4 billion ATM cards and the password repository is just 10,000. So if you even divide 4 billion divided by 10,000, you get around 4 lakhs, I believe. So now what I'm trying to say is that this 4 lakhs passwords are being shared. One password is being shared among 4 lakhs people, right? Now, and it is very easy. So if I have your ATM card or digital, the numbers, I can just try 10,000 times, right? So if I just take your ATM card and try 0000, 0001, 0002, and keep on trying up to 9999, I will get a right hit. That is why, if you really look at, people do get blocks when you try more than 3 times. That's called a brute force attack. Now, coming to the point, if you really see, it is very easy to generate any pin number. So for that, I'm just going to show you one tools. It shows how easy it is to generate any pin number. Let's say if I just say minimum is 4, maximum is 4, and then if I just give the combinations of all the numbers which is possible to generate my pin number of an ATM. If you just really look at this, look, it's very easy to generate the password within very a quick span using the tools like Crunch. Let me just do it once again. Let me just save it to a file and just name it as pin. Look at this, it just generated the 10,000 number. And if you just do look at this, all the pin number is generated very easily. Now, people may say, that Pranav, this numbers are getting blocked, after 3 attempts, so we are quite safe. Now, the same thing is applicable for your every password, whether it's your system passwords or application passwords or Wi-Fi passwords. Now, if I can generate, 4 digit of PIN within a quick span of time using a tools, now I'm pretty sure you cannot have any passwords which you haven't given from your keyboard, right? Yes, I'm not talking about the two-factor one. I'm talking about the single-factor authentication. Now, any password, doesn't matter how big it is, just think that you have to give it from the keyboard. So if I really need to create any passwords, let's say 6 to 14 character of passwords using the combination of A, B, C, D, E, F, and obviously your uppercase, lowercase, and then use number and special character again, right? So you can just give these combinations and they'll create the pin number, they'll create the passwords with all the combinations. So I'll just stop it here. So my objective was to say that doesn't matter what you do, you cannot have any passwords which is out of the keyboard. And probably only the difference is I do not know what is your password, but it is very much possible to have a pool of password while your password exists. And if I keep on trying with one by one, at any given point of time, I'll get the right hit until there is a proper security implementation is done, right? Now, and there are few human factors work as well. There are a lot of participants attended here today. I hope more than 200 or 250s. So if you really look at the way we give the passwords, you don't have to share the password. Just imagine. Now, when you talk about the special character passwords, that people say that you need to have a special characters or alphanumerics. Now, we always tend to give exclamation, dollar, sorry, exclamation, at the rate, hash, and dollar. That's the human trend. Now, what is happening is you are actually shrinking the combination base. If the attacker had to try out of 60 or 80 combinations, just because you have chosen to use the special character as exclamation, at the rate, and hash, and some legends use dollar. So basically you are shrinking the possibilities for, or you're making it easy for the attacker to create less number of base. Now, if you really look at your password, your special character do you use, 90% of the user use this exclamation, at the rate, and hash. And the reason I said dollar, I'll tell you the reason. Because we have to shift in the keyboard, but it is always human nature that whenever we type some special characters, like or exclamation at the rate or hashes, we always tend to give or tend to use our left shift, right? It's our human nature. It never change. Again, not for all, probably 90 or 95% of us. So whenever you press your left shift, your finger always reach exclamation at the rate hash. And the reason I said some legends use dollar, because probably they have got a little big hands than me. But hardly somebody use parenthesis as a special character, or uh, you know plus or ampersand as a special character. Trust me, none of the uh, application developer or owner never said that you cannot use parenthesis or ampersand or equals as your special character. You can use, but if you really look at your past history, you have never used. Though you have a complex password, sometimes it looks very simple, because creating the password base is very easy. So this is one thing I wanted to put you across when it comes to the passwords. Apart from that, I'll take you through some of other vulnerabilities. And again, I'm trying to keep it simple, looking at the larger audience scale. After this session, definitely I'll take some questions. So let me take you through other examples of cybersecurity. Let me just share my other screen. Okay. Now, let's talk about some of the vulnerabilities any web application can have. Nowadays, if you really look at, we use our daily uses either through a mobile applications or through an web applications, right? Okay, what's top 10? Let me just show it to you quickly. Okay, let me just quickly show it to you. What's top 10? Okay, so that way we have movie top 10, music top 10 every week, every now and then it change. Same way when it comes to the web application vulnerabilities, we have the top 10 vulnerability across the globe defined by WASP. WASP stands for Open Web Application Security Projects. It's open source, and first they have released in 2004, followed by 2007, 10, 13, 17, and there is update on 19 also, right? So if you really look at this, they basically categorize the top 10 vulnerabilities across uh, the globe on web applications, right? The first thing is injections, followed by your broken authentications. I have given already an example, followed by your sensitive data exposure, and different categories are there, which we have to go much in details. So I'll talk about one of these categories, which we call it as an injections, right? And I'll keep it very simple. Now, when you talk about injections, if you really look at any applications when you develop, it has to has a connect with your backend database, right? So, and the database holds your information such as your username, password, the data within everything. Now, what basically the attacker does, they try to bypass your authentication form using some malicious query, and they get access of your database. uh, as well, they can actually compromise your entire uh, database details, or even can access your entire web server. I'll keep it very simple here. So this is a application form where you can enter your username and password and login. Let's say I'll give some of the username. I'll give the username as, let's say, anything. You can give ABC, or let me just give ABC as the username, and password is 123. I'll just try to log in. It says login failed, which is a normal behavior. Let me just give you any other username, and let's say I give password as anything. Look at this, it fails again. Right now, let me just give a username as or 1 equals 1 hyphen hyphen, and let me try to give any password again. You see, it logs in, right? Let me just do it once again. So what I'm trying to do is I can give anything. Now again, if I give just this and I just do a minor changes, or see, it doesn't log in. It shouldn't log in. So what I'm trying to do here, that I'm trying to give any username, and then I'm trying to write some malicious query. It may look little crazy for some of you if you haven't seen SQL injection before, but if you really look at the keyword which I'm typing here, it doesn't really make sense. What it makes sense is after this, how I'm crafting my queries, right? So like, let's say or 1 equals 1 and hyphen hyphen, there is a significance of this, which is making my application to do login to the server with bypassing the authentications. And the password doesn't really matter, because hyphen hyphen in any SQL database, hyphen hyphen means commenting out the rest of the queries. And this one doesn't matter. I can probably give XYZ, and single quote I'm giving because assuming the backend database also use single quote, or it just to balance the query. So basically this is wrong and this is right. So wrong always returns 0 from the DB, and right always returns 1 from the DB. When I say right, you can give anything. You can give just 15 equal to 15. So 0 or 1 is actually 1, and hyphen hyphen means do not consider the passwords. If I just give again, you see I log in as an admin, right? Let me just try to show you something more interesting here. Now I just give again anything, my favorite keyword, key 5 equals 5 hyphen hyphen. If I just give anything else, I give a lot of bogus stuff here. Okay, and I just give any password again. It still logs in, right? So again, I know that it may confuse you little, but when you talk about SQL injection, there is a lot much more to do. This is just a very basics of SQL injections. I'm just showing something very generic, keeping the audience in mind. So there are different types of SQL injections you do, where you dump the database. There are different complex scenarios are there where you need to bypass the firewall, you need to bypass any of the protections they have. Those things I'm not showing here. Now one more thing, if you really look at in this place, like there is a user called jsmith, and if I give, you see it fails again. And if you see the old case, anything you do, you log in as admin, right? So there is a myth among the users that if you do a successful SQL injections, you will be logging as an admin. That's a myth. When you do a successful SQL injections, you actually do not log in as an admin. You actually log in as the first user of the database. Now, most of the time, the first user is a admin user, or probably the test user. So you log in as an admin, right? Now assume that if there is any other username, for fact that I know there is a user called jsmith, and I try to log in as any passwords, you see that I cannot log in. Now if I do a SQL injection, jsmith single quote or 1 equals 1, no, I'm sorry, you don't have to give this, because if I give this, I'll log in as an admin. Let me just show this to you. It will log in as an admin. Look at this, because the way my query is executing. But if I really want to log in as jsmith, um now you see that I can log in as the specific user. Look at this. So it is very much possible to bypass the authentication. Yes, every application is not vulnerable. Being said that, you know that from 2004 to 2019-20 still, SQL injection or injection is the number first or in WASP top 10. So basically last 10-15 years, this is the vulnerability which has been exploited most across the globe. And again, as I said, there are different type of SQL injections out there, like your Boolean based, error based, double queries, stack based, out file injections, but those are in much in details. But I'm just trying to keep it simple. Using SQL injections, what you can do is you can logging as any user, you can dump the database, you can shut down the database, you can get the shell of the server. So a complete compromise is possible through an SQL injection. Okay, now I'll show you some of the other vulnerabilities when you talk about web. Let me just quickly show you this search field, right? Remember that, anything which the server delivers, any content which you see on any platform, let's say when you access Facebook, anything you see on Facebook, user trust it, right? That's what we call as trust on the server, right? So, and then you as a platform are always responsible to take the liabilities, because tomorrow any fake news come in the Facebook, Facebook is answerable for that, or any other platform in that mean, um, because their platforms are being used to transmit the data, right? Now anything which will come in this domain, when I see, if I trust this platform demo.testpad.net, if I see any content on this website, I have to trust it as long as the domain is same. Now let's say if I search t-shirt, now they come back and say there is no results found called t-shirts, right? Now the same thing, the problem is here, whatever the content we are giving, it is reflecting back in the user input. Okay, it is reflecting back in the user input. Now if I just try to write some HTML content, h1 tag t-shirt, if you just really look at this, it craft as an HTML. So there is a danger, whatever I'm searching, it is querying in the database and coming back and then reflecting as it is. Okay, now when you can execute any of your own content in web application platform in a form of JavaScript or any other script like VB script, HTML, or Flash, that called cross-site scripting. So cross-site scripting can steal your cookies, which will have your session ID, and using that somebody can log in as you. If you really look at the Flipkarts, the Uber defacement screenshots or Naptool screenshots, which I've shown in the beginning of my presentation, those are the vulnerabilities, uh, which we can call it as a cross-site scripting. So there was a vulnerability which was allowing me to log into anybody's Naptool account or the e-commerce, either e-commerce account. Now think of a case when I log into your Flipkart account. You may say, Pranav, what is the big deal if you log into my uh, Facebook accounts, right? Flipkart accounts. It matters because I can see your address, I can see the things you purchase, and it's the privacy which gets violated. Now, what I can do is, let me just quickly write some complex HTML. As you can see, I can just like give any other thing, h1 t-shirt, and then give a b tag. I can just give tag key. I can just give anything. You see, so all my HTML contents are coming up. Let me just make it a little complex, and then let me just do a quick googling in W3 School. W3 School login form. I'll just copy some HTML quickly. Let's see. Yeah, this looks good. Let me just copy it. And if I just do it here, let me just see how this code comes. Okay, looks good. Let me just remove this one. I do not need this. Okay. Yep, looks good. Now what I can do is I can just make it small changes here, put some HTML content, HTML tag, I'll keep it here. Just run it. Yep, I'll just copy paste it here, and let me just search it. So what I'm doing is, if you have missed it, I just copied this content which I have made in my quickly, and I'm just copy and pasting it in the search field. Look at this. Now this content actually is not coming from the server, and this is not the original content. This is not the original content of the server, right? Now, if I do a little more, addition and play around the HTML, I can disable this sign-in form by commenting out. Now, what I can do is I can just share this link with you or anybody through the emails. Let's say your corporate websites or your Google form or anything. Now, what people do not look what is there at the last. I can just probably do some URL shortener and anything. What people really do notice where it is coming from. As long as you see that it is coming from your trusted domain, with a demo.testfire or facebook.com, you trust the content of it. Now you believe that it is to be a real legitimate uh, authentication form, and you use your username, your password, and you press login. The moment you press login, somebody can just put a sniffer here which will save the password and username in the remote server and redirect you to the original login page. So you never realized when your password was compromised, right? So this is called HTML injections. A lot of website is vulnerable to HTML injections, right? Now let me just show you quick one more cross-site scripting vulnerabilities. Let's say script alert one script. See, so here what I'm doing is, instead of HTML injections, I'm executing my JavaScript. Instead of HTML, I'm just executing my JavaScript, and you cannot just do anything. You can see that you just cannot do anything. Now what I can do is I can actually do much more damage with you. Let's by doing this, let's say script. Okay, this is what I'm doing right now. I'll just do it. Script alert. A lot of you can see when you do a live streaming of football cricket match, you see this, your IP has on iPhone 11 Pro, and click here to claim, and then the moment you click, I redirect you to a website called w3schools.com. Okay. Now, whenever you scream, you see this lot of, obviously there will be a lot of, colors and all this. That's not something very difficult job. They say that you IP has own an iPhone Pro. Claim here to click here to claim, and you cannot claim click anywhere. Everything is disabled. You have two options: either pressing yes, no, or cross button. Irrespective of whether you want to say yes, no, it always redirect to you to some crazy websites where you never wanted to visit. Let's say if I press OK, it will redirect me to W3 schools as per my script. Look at this. So I think these are few of the things which you have noticed very frequently. This is a typical cross-site scripting. There is other cross-site scripting is called stored accesses, where you write a script, it's stored there permanently. Whosoever visits the website, they become the victim. Let's say I purchase a hand sanitizer from Amazon, and there is a feedback form or any e-commerce website. I just give my um, feedback in those e-commerce, either of them, assuming that they're vulnerable. Just type this hand sanitizer is good and it works perfectly. Now, any one of you try to buy that hand sanitizer and view my reviews will be vulnerable to the attacks. Let me just show it to you in one of the typical cases here. Now you can see that there is a this is a portal where you have the employees and HR. Obviously HR can see the employee details. However, an employees, which is probably an engineer, cannot see the HR details. Let me just log in as Tom. Tom is an employee, and I'll log in as Tom. Okay, and this is Tom's profile, and Tom can view his own profile. He has all the rights, where you can see his salary, his address details, and SSN number, and any other things. Tom can click here, and let's say Tom want to uh, modify his address, and Tom can write script alert increase my salary, or else I will reveal the video or whatsoever. And probably he write one more script where you have the content, and he just update his profile. Okay, so Tom is done. What Tom has done, Tom just logged in his profile. He updated his address field, which was vulnerable to cross-site scripting, and he just logs out. Now, let's join as in Jerry. Jerry is in HR. Now Jerry can see any profile. Let's say first, let's Jerry view this profile. View profile. See, everything is perfect, right? No issues. But the moment Jerry try to visit Tom's profile, because Tom has updated his own profile with some script, let's see what happens. So it says increase my salary, or else I'll reveal the video. Right? So this is a perfect example of stored accesses. There is a instances with a lot of social media platforms where people do post, and anybody who visited, everybody was vulnerable to cross-site scripting. Okay, like that, there are so many vulnerabilities which we have on the mobile platforms as well. I have seen people using free foods from different applications. People are bypassing authentications. People are stealing money from GPay because of the mistakes of end user or by the application developer. So for today, I'll show you the last example, which is through an email. Now, as you have seen, because of COVID-19, most of us was forced to sit at home, and there is a lot of emails coming from our employers about the update when we can resume our office, uh, the guidelines which is given by our employer. So a lot of emails we are receiving nowadays related to COVID-19, and as long as it is coming from our employer or any of the legitimate source, we always believe it to be the right one, right? So here I need a volunteer here. Abhay, if you can just probably give me an email IDs. Now this is one domain. Okay, so what I can do, I can just send an email to you, which will look exactly legitimate, and you'll feel like it has come from your employer, not from any other websites. Okay, now what I can do is, let me just quickly go there. Okay, so what I can do, so this is a typical example of a phishing email, where I'll send an email from your email ID to somebody else email ID with the right content. And if you will feel like as if like I have sent, right? And the moment you click, your email will be compromised, right? Can somebody drop two email IDs, any email IDs voluntarily? If anybody is there, let me just quickly see. Any two email IDs? So I'm just going to use two email IDs so that you can confirm. Any two volunteers should be fine. I just need two email IDs. Okay, I got one. Okay, perfect, perfect, perfect. Done, done, done. I don't need any more email IDs. Okay, so I'm going to send one email from arunsingh.crs to the maslin.thomas@gmail.com. So as you know that I do not have access to this email IDs. All of you can see the email ID in the chat box. So I'm just copying the email of Arun Singh. So I'm just like, let me just share my screen quickly again. And let me just make it as a notepad quickly. Okay, for your informations, you may find it little some, okay, one second. Not okay, this one, I'm just copying it. One second, guys. Let me just share my screen. Logis, which will show that the emails will go to your inbox, but when it comes to Gmail, this platform doesn't work absolutely fine every time. However, if it is a private domain, it works fine. But still, let me just send an email from Arun Singh to this guy. I'm just sharing the email from email, and two will send it to this. Okay, to this, and from this, and the name I'll give Arun Singh and GH, and subject would be COVID-19. Let's not give this one. Let me just give virus test. And we can browse the file and we can do an attachment. Hi, please click, please use this content below. just write this is a test email just to make sure that I do not get in trouble. Thanks, Arun. Okay, so if everything goes fine, as I said, you may not see it perfectly because there is a issues with the Gmail. This particular domain works perfectly fine. Was not sent successfully. Solve. What is my captcha? I do not see. Okay. Now I think you can confirm if you have received the email. So I've sent an email from Arun Singh to Maslin Thomas. I'll just stop sharing my screen so I can just see the chat box. Yes, I just stopped the screen right now. So I just want to confirm from the two gentlemen whom I have sent the email. I've sent an email from Arun Singh to Maslin Thomas. So if you can confirm, Mr. Thomas, if you have received the email from Arun Singh. So what I have done, if you have missed it, I just repeat once again. I just took two random email IDs from the audience. One is arunsingh.crs and one is maslin.thomas. So what I tried to do is I just tried to send the email from his email ID to Maslin Thomas, assuming that I don't have access, though I don't have access. It will not be there in the sent items. So it will not be there in the sent items. Okay, I'll discuss about it more. So I think I'll just stop it here. So this is like, very high level presentation what I had right now, but I think I'll be taking some questions up to you, Abhay, and then after that I'll take some questions from the audience, including all these topics we discussed or any other thing. Abhay, you there?
Yes, Pranab.
Okay, so I think I'll stop my presentation here. So after that, I'll take some question from the audience, and then we'll discuss about this emails and any other questions the audience has.
Sure, yes. So participants, if you have any doubts, any queries, any questions, please feel free to unmute yourself and ask Pranab. And as soon as you're finished with your questions, you can just mute so that Pranab is completely audible to other participants.
Hello.
Yes, Girish, I can hear you.
Yes, you showed this session very nicely, but I have one question related. If you have two-factor authentication, how can we escape from this kind of things, right? Hello.
Hello.
Yeah, if we enable the two-factor authentication,
Right.
this kind of attacks from the hackers can be, we can escape from this, right?
Up to a certain extent, depending on what attacks they're doing. Now, let's say in case of cross-site scripting, okay? If you have
Okay.
attacks like CSRF and cross-site scripting, there are multiple cases where people can bypass your two-factor authentications as well. Because the moment you log into your applications, the
Your voice is breaking.
in your browser. So if you save your token, every time you log into your browser, it doesn't ask, right?
Hello, your voice is breaking, Pranav.
Is it, am I audible right now?
Yes. Can you
Okay.
tell me once again?
Yeah, let's assume that you have a two-factor authentication in Gmail.
Yeah.
And then you remember that in your browser. So, or probably you are just trying to open Gmail in other tab. Now the scenario is like this. First you enter your username and password in Gmail. Then it asks you two-factor authentication, either which you have received by OTP or your applications.
Yeah.
Once you have entered, you are logged in. Now when you open multiple tabs and type Gmail, you don't have to enter any authentications, right?
Yes,
Including
correct.
two-factor authentication. And sometimes what we do is we remember the two-factor authentication. We say that remember this browser. Okay.
Okay.
Now, what happens in those factors? When you logged in already, when you are already logged in, let's say that I send the emails, right?
Yeah.
Now, when you have saved the two-factor authentication already, when you are in an authenticated session, all those token values are stored in as a part of cookies, like session IDs and location history, browser. A lot of details are stored in your cookie.
Yeah.
Now there are attacks like process scripting, which allows us to pull out all the cookies from your browser.
Okay.
And if I pull out all the cookies and replay the cookies from my system, then I'll be able to log in as you without having the valid username, password, including two-factor authentication. Now,
Okay.
being said that, yes, two-factor authentication uh, gives you an extra layer of securities. However, it does not stop all the attacks. But yes, definitely it's the best options right now which you have available. So two-factor authentication is recommended, good to have, but it does not stop you from all attacks.
But what will happen is if you whatever the two-factor authentication, they will be sending like a one-time password, all those things. That will be active only for 4 to 5 minutes, right?
But what else? What happens when you already logged in? Even if you talk about any token, like let's say OTP also, as I say again, Gmail, if you take, which is like probably common for all, I understand it change every 1 minute or 2 minutes. But once you logged in, you do
Yeah.
not care about it anymore, right?
Okay.
As long as you are in your session for 2-3 hours, you don't have to enter it in every 1-2 minutes. Once
Yeah.
you are
Correct.
authenticated, and once you are authenticated, your cookies has all the value, which is the authenticated cookies. If I pull out your cookies, I do not have to enter.
Okay.
So if the challenge was given to you every 2-3 minutes, then yes, it makes sense. But obviously, looking at the user perspectives, it does not ask you to.
And
Yeah.
suppose if I log out and that time it will be expired, right?
Yes,
Means,
absolutely.
yeah.
Yes, then it's become very difficult.
Okay.
Yeah, Pranav, hi. How far WAF is successful in these things? Because there's a lot of buzz about the WAF these days. Layer 7 application firewall. So does it take care of all the OWASP related stuff or just few of them?
Okay, well, very good questions. In fact, yes, OAuth put a lot of protections on top of your applications. However, by default rules, I will not name any. There is a lot of WAF, as you already know. All those WAF comes with a default protection mechanism from WAF top 10 attacks. Uh, However, I have seen a lot of applications still we are able to bypass, either because of the rules was not properly configured, or they are running with the default rules and the enhancement was not done, right? So yes, WAF, if when you talk about any WAF, it adds extra layer of protection, no doubt in that. Most of the default attacks, like probably the two examples which I've shown, that will be stopped just like that. However, if you try to do any advanced attacks, then it is not foolproof solutions, but definitely add very good values in front of your web applications, no doubt in that.
Thanks.
Okay, somebody asked security testing or auditing tool for web applications. If you talk about what is that? Testing or auditing tools for, there are so many tools available. Um, there are so many tools available open source. I think Kali Linux has a very big repository of open source. I would recommend you to install Kali Linux. Like you have SQL Map, you have Nikto, you have W3AF. There are multiple tools are available inside Kali Linux. If you are really looking for web application auditing tools and open source, I would highly recommend you to install Kali Linux. That would be really helpful. Parameterized query for protection against, Yes, absolutely. If you use stored procedure and parameterized query for protection against any SQL injection, it does help. It does help because the moment you do a input validation and output sanitizations, that's the best things you should be doing it when you implement any applications. And the validation shouldn't be only implemented in the client side. The validation should be available in the server side as well.
Hi Pranav, Kunal here.
Okay, hi Kunal.
Yeah. Are there any other vulnerabilities which we can refer apart from OAP's top 10?
Absolutely. Nowadays, if you ask me personally, I found a lot of logical vulnerabilities, which is coming across, right? Um, Now, logical vulnerability, what do I mean? These kind of vulnerabilities cannot be detected by any of the web application scanner, neither by manual testing if you follow a typical checklist. I'll give an example of eBay, which happened a couple of years back, or probably uh, now what happens, eBay had an offer which says that if you buy any product worth 1500 rupees, you will get 500 rupees trade discount, right? So let's say if I start buying a t-shirt worth 300 rupees, so if I buy one t-shirt, add to cart 300, 2 600, 3 900, 4,200, and 5,500. The moment the total card value is 1,500, I get a straight discount of 500 rupees, right? So I buy 5 t-shirts in 1,000 rupees. Now what the attacker had done, after getting the discounts, he started removing the product from the cart. So now his current value is 5 t-shirts, 1,500 rupees. And then what he did, he removed one product. Um, so he removed one product. So four t-shirts become 700. Then he removed one more, three become 400, and two t-shirt become 100 rupees. So when he's removing the product uh, from the card, there was no checks. So this kind of logical vulnerabilities cannot be identified using any scanner. And nowadays, because of complex business rules, logical vulnerabilities are commonly found in web applications. Hence, you should look for all the different aspects and business aspects also, apart from the WASP top 10 when you are testing any web application.
Hi, Pranav.
Yes, great.
How about using this virtual keyboard? How safe it is?
It's better because virtual keyboard uh, actually protect you only from the keystroke attack. Assume that if you have any malwares or keyloggers installed in your system, in that case, it protects you. uh, it just makes sure that your uh, keystrokes are not stolen by any malwares. That is the only things. It doesn't protect you against other attacks.
Okay.
Any local malwares, it just protect you from the local malwares if anything is there in your local system.
Okay.
Okay, one more question here. Can biometric be hacked in mobile banking apps? Yes, very much possible, depending on what biometric they have implemented, what protocol they have implemented, how they have implemented. There are so many instances when a biometric was hacked, because if you really look at this, IoT security is booming a lot. Like I have seen people are developing, Bluetooth 2.0 protocol, and they are using the keyboard. This is just a last, I think, 2 months back. I was working with some keyboard. I was testing some keyboards. What I've observed, those are like Bluetooth keyboard. You can just compare this as a device which uses Bluetooth protocols. So when the keyboard communicates with my system, with my laptops, they basically use Bluetooth 2.0, which has the vulnerabilities. So anything I type in the keyboard, anybody sitting next to me can snip it because the Bluetooth protocol was vulnerable. So somebody was just like snipping the Bluetooth communications. Um, in this way, yes, if the biometric is not properly implemented, it is very much possible. Okay, one more question. How can we perform brute force attack if account gets locked after 3 unsuccessful attempts? No, you cannot. You cannot perform brute force attack Now, logically is being said that it all depends how it has been logged. If they're locking your account itself, then you cannot do brute force attack. But however, if they block your IP address, MAC address, then you can keep on changing your IP address and MAC address after every 3 attempts. Uh, but if they are locking your user account itself or user ID, then you cannot do a brute force attack after account gets locked out, which is a good implementation. Okay.
Pranav,
Yeah,
Pranav,
I'll take one more question, Ankur. After that, I'll address you. Sorry, Sonali Sharma. Apple iOS is considered to be safer than Android. How true it is? Okay, so this is a very hypothetical question. Um Now, the reason why it is so safe, because if you really look at this, Android is open source, and then there are so many manufacturers who use their custom ROMs and implement Android OS, and the audience which you have for Android is much wider than iOS. And if you really look at iOS, hardware and software has been implemented by the same organization. Hence, it is quite more secure than the Android. And moreover, for the cyber criminals, if they have one exploit, they can find a larger audience than the iOS, right? One exploit, they may find 100 targets when you talk about iOS, and when it's Android exploit they create, they find 1,000 targets. So Android is a soft target than the iOS one. Yes, Ankur, please.
I have a quick question. You have shown me that uh, SQL injection. So where we have a two field, one email or second one is a password. So what if the new form that Google or Yahoo every email address where we need to enter the first the email, after that they provide the password. So is it safe now for this SQL injection?
Okay, if you talk, I mean, just correct me if I'm wrong. So you are asking that first it asks for the username, and
Then
then
if it is success, then it is go ask for the password.
no, it
So
is not secure if you talk about SQL injections, because SQL injection is possible in the username field or even in the password field or both of them. This implementation can protect you uh, from user enumerations or account lockout, but it cannot protect you from SQL injections. So SQL injection, as somebody has mentioned, parameterized query, stored procedure, client-side and server-side validation, input validation and output sanitization. Those things would be a protection for your SQL injections. Obviously, having a WAF in front of that is highly recommended. But this particular example which you have told me, this does not protect. This alone does not protect you from SQL injection.
okay, thank you.
Okay. How to deal with unknown vulnerabilities like in a situation of a zero-day threat? Well, very good questions. There is no way to uh, protect yourself from a zero-day threats. However, there are few EDS solutions coming up in the market. Endpoint detection and response. I'm answering Saptarshi. If you implement the EDS solution properly with proper rules, where only known process, known DLL, and known sockets are allowed, then it is very much possible for you to prevent zero-day attack up to a certain extent. But there is no foolproof solution. There are some EDS solutions out there, endpoint detection and response, which is doing pretty well to protect against you zero-day or APT, as long as you build the right rules or you know your systems. Okay, there is one more questions. I would okay, there is, could you, how secrets can be protected in cloud? Okay, again, it's very difficult question to answer. However, I'll tell you how do I protect. I just zip it, I put a protected password, and I keep it in the cloud. And obviously depends on which cloud you use, right? If there is any one like people like me who is providing a cloud solution, you can assume that I do not comply with a lot of regulatory requirement. Obviously my cloud would be less safer than Azure, AWS, or Google clouds. One more question here. Could you tell us how to identify fake URLs which you have received? Okay. Okay, that's a good question. Look, if you talk about a fake URL, there is different tools are there. As an end user, you can use VirusTotal to identify the source of the URL. There is something called virustotal.com. Put this URL in VirusTotal. You will see how safe and genuine this website is. Moreover, little bit of R&D is very much required in the uh, internet to identify if it is a fake news, fake URL, or original. And until unless you verify it to be fake or original, I would highly recommend you not to forward it anywhere. As you know, there is a lot of legal issues you may face because of this. Okay, one more questions. If we are setting session timeout along with multi-factor simultaneous, will that be more secure? Yes, absolutely. That is more secure if you use session timeout along with MFA simultaneously. However, you cannot implement in social media or e-commerce. Only possible when it is a banking website. Okay, one more questions with respect to the scenario. How can you protect from this or ensuring getting emails from actual sender only? Well, you should always look at the email headers to identify if the email has come from the genuine source. Apart from that, there are so many anti-phishing solutions or anti-phishing firewalls are there, uh, which is sort of a email filter, uh, like WAF, which sits in front of your email server, and they just filter your emails looking at their header, and only legitimate email come to your inbox. Rest will get blocked. It comes to your email itself, and you know, user awareness is most important. Okay, one more. If I take care of WASP top 10 in my application, can I? No, you cannot assume. If you take care of your WASP top 10 vulnerabilities, yes, it is better. It is almost safe, but trust me, security is an illusion. There is nobody can say that I'm 100% secure, including myself. But yes, the current state is better than uh, what you had before once you take care of the WASP top 10 attacks. Which vulnerable scanner can you use like GFI, Lenguard, or Tenable? If you talk about network based, then Tenable works fine. If you talk about web applications like GFI, Lenguard, or Tenable, or Qualys, everything works well when you talk about network scanning. When you talk about application scanning, you have IBM App Scan, you have HP45, I mean Micro Focus right now. You have Econetics. There are so many commercial tools out there which does well. Okay, there are so many questions. Let me just take one by one. How to deal with a traffic attack? How should confirm it's really website traffic attacks? Well, for that, if you have a SOC SIEM solution, once again, what is that? How to deal with a website traffic attack? How should I confirm? So looking at the request, definitely there are multiple solutions. If you have any SOC team, get a real-time traffics. Anti-DDoS solutions are there. Looking at the URLs, the origination from where it originate, it is very easy. It is very much possible to block the traffic from a legitimate one and the fake one until it is a zero-day attack. Okay, any more question, guys? We have once again, if we have a script to delete the cookies, cache, and history every 10 minutes. Well, it's better if you have a script to delete the cookie, cache, history every 10 minutes. It's a better solution, but you have to think about the usability, right? Because cache, history, cookies makes our job easier to use any application from our systems. However, if you choose security on top of priority more than the usability, yes, it gives you better solution. What types of vulnerabilities are applicable for mobile app? Let me just quickly share you a link. Stop it. Okay, I'm just answering these questions. I'm just trying to share you the link where you can find all the mobile attacks. Okay, Okay, same way, when we was talking about web applications vulnerabilities, same way WASP also has your top 10 vulnerabilities for mobile applications. I just shared you the link here. Where is that? Why do you have Okay, this is your, here you will find, one second, let me just, everyone. Yes, somebody asked about the mobile top 10 vulnerabilities. I have shared you the link. Uh, so you can refer this one. It will be protected against all the top 10 attacks. Okay, fine. Yes, I'll share that. Yes, so you can write to, I think, Chandan, I think you have shared the email IDs, right?
Sorry?
You have shared the email ID of ours, right?
Yes, that's right. We have anybody who has any questions who wants to reach out to Pranab can just reach out to us, or you can even write at ops at Stalwart Learning. We
Do not use free Wi-Fi. This is the common factor to make sure that you do not install, the app which you do not know. This so you can keep your Gmail ID card details safe. And as I said, just assume that you are already compromised. Okay, I'll take two more questions if you have any. Okay, wireless HART protocol security testing. I'm not pretty sure about that. There are so many open source and commercial tools are there for wireless testing. However, I'm not pretty sure about this particular protocol testing. You can again use Kali Linux. There are around 6, 7 tools are there for wireless testing. With regards to this wireless HART, I'll get back to you. Probably you can drop an email. I'll need to look at this particular protocol testing. If there is any tools available, I'll get back to you. If you can just drop an email to the email ID which Chandana has shared. Okay, last question. Okay, I think okay. Anything else, guys? Okay, and thank you very much, everyone, for attending the session. And over to you, Chandana.
team, thank you.